Nobody on this planet loves and appreciates Tom Cruise's dedication to humanity more than I do. And with the release of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, it brings the question of this greatly hailed movie. Is it another great Mission Impossible movie, or does it slightly miss the mark? The answer may surprise you. This is Last Page. Issue number 15 of Last Page. I am your humble host, Maverick King, joined today by the rambunctious Rembo and across the oceans of the internet, Jason Cedars. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. This is going to be I have been looking forward to this movie for quite some time. I love the Mission Impossible movies. They range from the Mission Impossible 2 is generally considered to be the least of all, but all the other Mission Impossibles are good to great. This one, highly anticipated, especially since the Thomasance of Top Gun Maverick, where everyone finally recognized what I said years ago, which was that Tom Cruise is the greatest movie star there's ever been. People were like, all right, we got to start appreciating Tom Cruise more. And I was like, damn right. So this movie came out. We just saw it. Came out yesterday on July 12th, 2023. Today is the 13th. So this is very fresh. We'll give a brief, spoiler-free recap or thoughts and feelings about the movie, and then whether or not we would recommend it to you, the audience. And then after that, we'll give our spoiler section. So you can check the description and the timestamps for the spoiler-free and spoiler section of this. Like and subscribe. Subscribe and re-like. This movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes. I personally believe it did not need to be that long. One of the great things about Mission Impossible movies is that it gives you this setup, it gives you this action, and then it gives you the set piece, and it kind of is contained to sometimes 2.5 with Mission Impossible 6. Experience that's very fun. It goes very quickly. This movie's longer. It still has all the set pieces we've all seen from the trailer. The riding the motorcycle off the cliff. There's a train sequence. There is a lot of car chases. This movie has a lot of action and fun in it. The cast is great. Tom is surrounded by new and old faces from the Mission Impossible franchise. I thought everyone did mostly everyone did a great job. It's not the tightest, neatest package of Mission Impossible we have gotten, but my initial feelings is that this is going off of that fact that we just saw Guardians of the Galaxy and Transformers and The Flash, just these blah movies of the summer. This movie does deliver and was worked on very hard. So I want to give it its props. So I would say the movie was fun, enjoyable. I would recommend it. Remington, you were sitting next to me in the theater. You were scoffing at parts, which I did not appreciate because the sacrifices Tom makes for us. And you're scoffing at some of these pieces in the movie. Explain yourself.
It's just, honestly, I've never felt this way watching any of the other Mission Impossibles, but the real feeling I had recurring through the movie was, man, this is corny. And I hate to feel that way because I really, really liked the last Mission Impossible movie with Mr. Cavill. I really liked him as the villain. I thought the pace, the tempo of that movie was solid. And now I kind of am second guessing myself after seeing this movie and being like, is this how all Mission Impossible movies are? But I don't believe it. I felt like this movie was just, and we'll expand more on this later, but just exposition dump after exposition dump. And every scene was 10 to 15 minutes longer than it needed to be. And there was every time I started having fun, I would be like, okay, why is this still going on? And that's kind of how I felt throughout the entire movie. I definitely did have some fun. There was fun moments. And I like the very general premise of the movie. but I did not like so much of the execution of it. The spy stuff is cool. Would I recommend this movie? No. I would not tell somebody to go and watch this movie. I feel like you can definitely live the rest of your life in peace knowing you did not see this movie.
Well, if you're gonna do the whole in your life thing, like if you're on a desert island and is this gonna be one of the movies on your desert island? Perhaps not. But regardless, I'll let Jason say. I will just say that just to keep the audience aware, because we've kind of been talking about the facets of the movie, but the plot of the movie, according to the International Movie Database, is Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands. Jason, how did you feel about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1?
Surprised by your guys' reaction, as surprised as I am with the movie too. I thought you guys would both be gushing over this movie, and Mav, I can even see you kind of holding back a little bit in the praise and the gushingness of this, where you want to be this beacon of screaming from the mountaintop of how much you enjoyed this, but it fell flat. And I guess the word I would say to kind of wrap everything up is predictable. There was a very predictability to a lot of this movie. Like, it didn't really feel like there was anything new I was really watching. Like, a train scene where it's falling off the back of a mountain and they're running up the train as it's falling. I've seen this in a couple movies. Okay. A motorcycle going off a mountain, jumping onto a train. Oh yeah. I've seen that in a couple other movies, him doing all of these stunts on his own was really the only, I feel like, catch to a lot of those scenes. Like, oh, you know what, Tom Cruise is really doing that. Do you know that? You can say that to someone in the movie. It's like, you see that guy jumping off a cliff? That's really Tom Cruise. You're supposed to be like, oh, well, that makes it so much better than it was with just a regular stuntman jumping off a cliff. So it was that feeling through scene after scene. And then the other feeling was exactly like you said, Remy, too, was like, is this what all of them were like? Were they kind of like this 1960s, 70s? Wait, yeah, 66 original Mission Impossible show, I think. It had that kind of 60s kind of, I don't know if campy or corny, but it had this kind of like, get smart, kind of feel to some things. I'm just like, is this what we've been watching the whole time? So the same thing.
Oh, yes.
Like,
oh yes, Jason.
I got to rewatch some of the old Mission Impossibles to see if they were so much like this. So I'm feeling really a lot like you, Rem, on this. Is I'm not going to be recommending a lot of this to people, but if it comes on in the future on TV, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch this, but I'm watching the director's cut or extended version of a movie that I didn't even ask for an extended version of. So there, I'm sorry, Mav. I had to do it. I had to get it straight from the heart.
Now here I was being very objective. I could have just been, I could easily, based on my reputation as a Tom Cruise fanatic, I could have easily just been like, this movie's amazing, and this is amazing. And because one thing that's very interesting going into this movie, critics love this movie. Last I checked, Metacritic had this movie at an 82 out of 100. Rotten Tomatoes, not reliable, but Rotten Tomatoes had it at 99. And even IMDb users were having it at about like an 8.1. So this movie, and every even the social media critic people, even they were like, "Oh, this movie's amazing." So I was like, "Okay, I feel confident this is another great Mission Impossible movie." And I was surprised that I went into it and I liked it. I thought it still had great set pieces. I thought Tom Cruise was great. I thought, this is where I'm going to run into trouble because there's so many people I'm going to start forgetting their names. Haley Atwell from Captain America movies. I thought she was is a great. I almost said spoiler, but I think she is a great addition to the Mission Impossible team. Obviously, Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg, love them.
Vanessa Kirby, right? Yeah, the White Widow actress. I was very intrigued by her. Like, she was, I feel like, a great addition to this movie.
I do think she's good. Her eyes, like, there's something about her eyes that I'm just like, I don't think you're real. I don't think you're a real person.
No. She's so pale. It's insane. I looked up pictures of her after the movie and I'm like, did they make her look that pale? No. She is, in fact, so pale that I'm like, of course her name would be the White Widow because she is indistinguishable from the color white. She is.
We're tapping into actors and actresses that just don't fit the the statuesque look anymore, and I kind of like that. I like when they're looking a little different, a little like what's her name from Queen's Gambit and stuff, how she got so big. I mean, she has very large eyes and a very strange face, and I think that's why she got so popular, that she didn't fit this classic mold, you know. But a lot of very different cool actors in this one though.
Kittredge returned from the first Mission Impossible movie. I really like that actor. He's also in Clear and Present Danger. Again, he's a counterpart to Harrison Ford. He looks great. He has aged wonderfully over 30 years. I love him being back in the fold in this movie. There was the movie, and this is what I will say. You guys are hating on this movie, and now I feel like I need to defend this movie, even though I was agreeing with some of your guys' problems. But now I just feel like this has gone too far, and you guys are starting to disrespect a man. Now, keep in mind that Tom Cruise.
Excuses.
No,
pull them out.
Keep in mind. Okay, there's a term that has been bandied about, which is pandemic movie. Right? We've all watched movies shut down in 2020. We didn't get any new movies until 2021. When we started to get these new movies rolling out, I would refer to these movies as pandemic movies because they would feel weird. The space between the actors would not be right. There would not be that many extras. It was just, you could just tell a pandemic movie because they didn't feel like an actual movie. It felt like this weird, curtailed, alternate type of movie. This movie is a pandemic movie, and by large fame, because Tom Cruise went on that rant on set in Italy where two people were putting the production in danger of getting shut down.
They were, instead of 6 feet, they were actually 5.5 feet apart. Oh, God.
I think it was 1 meter because it's Italy. So
I think there's a lack of face masks too.
Well, they were too close. I don't know about the masks, but they were too close to each other. And it's, again, this is one of those things where they have literal people from the government on site where if you violate the rules, they will shut your production down. So this was a big production, $290-ish million budget. Wow. These budgets have gotten absolutely out of whack. But point is that Tom Cruise lost his mind, and the fact of the matter is that this movie had too many people in it. When we go to there's the opening scene, and there's all the CIA, NSA, all these heads of state are in the room discussing what's going on with this giant weapon that has been discovered.
Are we not officially into this?
Okay. Yeah, so you guys already said you're not recommending the movie. You're not recommending the movie. I recommend the movie. All of America recommends this movie. And the reason why I would recommend this movie, other than what I've already said about the movie, is to finish my point, which was that this movie was made with all these actors and all these crew members while everything was shut down so that Tom could send everyone's kids to college, pay all of their mortgages, pay their rent, and keep Hollywood going. And if it wasn't for Tom, these movie theaters would all be defunct. Not only because of this movie, but because of Top Gun Maverick. So, yes, there are problems with this movie because it is a pandemic movie. However, it's because this movie's too big, it's a little bloated, because Tom was trying to keep everyone employed. So I'm on record saying that we are in now to the spoiler parts. So from now on, we are going to talk about the full spoilers of this movie.
Hold on, let me piggyback on that real quick, because I don't know if you guys got this, but as the movie started, that QSA call, like from Tom Cruise and the director, being like, "Thank you so much for coming out to the movies to support, the movie theater business." Did you guys get that at the beginning of your movie?
Yeah. It was like almost like two ushers leading you into a cult. Not that anybody would ever be, associated with a cult from this movie, of course. But it's like two cult leaders just being like, "Thanks, we're so glad to see you, Dave. Thank you for coming into our meeting today."
Dude, you hit it on the nose there.
One of the things I like about this movie is the fact that Tom Cruise takes on a cult in this movie. So go ahead.
But I almost he's apologizing for the fact of what you just brought up. Like, we know it was hard times, this pandemic, but we got to get out there and support the movie theater business and keep my paychecks coming in and keep all these other people's jobs secured and go out to the movies and see this. Definitely don't watch it on streaming services or at home or anything like this. It's like, Jesus, dude, you're really fighting hard to keep this business going, which, I mean, this is what our show is based on, which our livelihood in the future will be based on as people going to the movies. But at the same time, I felt like they were getting out ahead of what you were just saying, like, oh, it's a pandemic movie at hard times. Well, then suck it up, Buttercup. You shouldn't put out the fucking movie then, like keep it into time, wait for pandemic times to be over and then do it when you actually have the resources to actually make it a decent movie.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, this is not a bad movie. You guys are way overboard. I was trying to keep
You're right.
level-headed, and you guys are just, you like The Flash. You have no reason to speak, Jason. Don't even talk to me about this movie now. We have The Flash, like the worst, ugliest movie we've seen in forever. Just the most abominable excuse of a 1990s movie that gets put it onto our theaters. And Tom, God forbid, a movie star has the audacity to thank people. Thank you for supporting this movie because we love making movies for you. The guy that jumps off a cliff for the audience, and you guys have the audacity to sit here and treat him like we should be treating Ezra Miller. I mean, the God, I can't.
At least in the first 5 minutes of this movie, in the first 5 minutes of this movie, I knew it was going to happen for the entire movie. In The Flash, I was like, I wonder what's going to happen throughout this. It was so freaking, as soon as they started off with the AI thing, I'm like, okay, I know exactly how this whole movie is going to pan out because I've seen this happen. And okay, I do like how it was a little bit different with the technology aspect, like, okay, we're getting into spoilers and things with this movie.
Yeah, so I'll set the table and I'll throw it right back to you, which is that the beginning of the movie sets up that the antagonist of the movie is an AI that is referred to as the entity.
It has gone rogue.
And yes, the noise it makes when it's on screen, like, and these like weird noises going around. I'm like,
you guys, this is by far the worst last page we have ever done. The most disgraceful. I regret even doing this. I should have just done a one-man camera show. This is, you jokers don't appreciate. I
want to put up a banner at the bottom here that this episode brought to you by the Church of Scientology.
If you want to do a solo episode,
they won't sponsor us now. Yeah. They won't sponsor us now. Thanks a lot for sinking that opportunity.
Please continue setting up this movie for us. Yeah.
So anyway, there's the entity, the AI, which is this AI that is started to turn on people. And I guess we find out later, but basically, there's the opening of the movie is a submarine in which Russians are aboard, and there's another submarine on the radar that's out there, and it disappears. And they're like, "What's happened?" Well, they shoot a missile at this submarine that disappears, and sure enough, the submarine disappears. It wasn't really there, and it circles back and it blows them up. And it turns out that this AI has hacked their system, and it turned them to destroy themselves. So that kind of sets up the narrative that this AI is this entity that is going to start attacking humanity. And there are the people that every government is trying to stop, or is trying to get these two keys to control it so that they can use the entity. Whereas Tom Cruise has taken it upon himself and his team that they should destroy it so no one can use it. So anyway, Jason, take it away.
The coolest element of Mission Impossible movies are the technology that they use. They use all these cool little videos and talking and devices and faces and all this sort of stuff. So they decided that they can no longer use the coolest element of their movie because the AI control it, and they're going to get rid of it all. That decision right there, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what I want to see more in this movie, you're like, we got to go full analog. We got to go sign language now. We got to go like hand signals and other ancient technologies. I was like, no, I want to see the next coolest new thing of technology you're using. But the fact that the coolest new technology now is the one that's coming back to bite them in the ass, I can see what they're doing with it. But that was like my biggest gripe with it too. It's like I wanted to go in seeing more of this, and they're like, we're going to give you a lot less of it now.
That initial scene, the initial scene was cool. I like the thing coming back to kill him or blow him up. I just have like a lot of questions about this movie that maybe we can just air out here. That things I didn't understand. They have the keys on the sub, right?
Yes.
The sub then blows up and it gets sunk, never to be seen again. How did the keys?
They were on the necks of the
body that float up. Right. Okay, I remember thinking that through the movie, and then they showed that later. Okay.
Because maybe the machine thought it would like trap those keys with it down in the sub, and the fact that the bodies floated up was something I don't think it predicted.
Right. Okay. So next question, another thing I was confused about. but they talk about like, oh, we don't even know what the keys do. They constantly remind us that we don't know what the keys do. What the fuck do you mean you don't know? Like, does it like? But then they refer to how, oh, if you have the keys, then you can control the AI. So it's like they keep on going back and forth and pretending like they don't know what the keys do, but at the same time they do know what the keys do.
This is a problem.
It's messy.
It is a problem that I have with the movie, which is the fact that the protagonist, Tom Cruise, and his friends of the movie, throughout the whole movie, up until the very last part of the movie, they don't know what the keys do. But we as the audience, we know what they do immediately.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for them to catch up to us, which is it's just not as nearly as interesting as if they either found out earlier and then they just know that that's why they need the keys, because the keys control this thing. Or you should have made it so that we, the audience, don't know what's going on. And that way we find out when Tom finds out, and then it's this reveal that, oh, these keys. I did not like the fact that they just tell the audience at the beginning of the movie and then the protagonists don't know until the end of the movie. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it was so messy with that, and I understand they needed this physical element to why this being that was within the internet, the ghost in the machine kind of mentality, needed something physically in this world that could destroy it. It's like if it was just some code or some flash drive or something like that could get a little messy, it could destroy it, but that element was the only I think cool difference to the machine kind of like taking over, where it still had to use actually real people to get this machine. Like I even thought that AI guy was actually going to be like some fake hologram guy that it was actually using. And I almost thought that would have been, well, no, not a cooler.
You were trying to critique the movie for being too ridiculous, too unbelievable, and now you want a hologram man, Jason. Come on.
I definitely thought it was going to be the classic horror Ghost in the Machine. It's funny that I use that reference. It like almost going that angle where it was purely, it couldn't jump to that physical realm of it. So that was one of the only kind of saving graces of this very unoriginal plot line of like having something where it was in both worlds kind of thing. So and it was the Vince Rames scene at the very end.
Ving
Rames, sorry. Phenomenal actor, which every word that comes out of his mouth is just so awesome. It's just so poetic. He's a great actor. But you guys don't think along the same lines?
I don't know why Remy's laughing his ass off.
Yeah. Would he have some one-liner that you're just like, oh my God?
Oh, just everything, every single word out of his mouth. Every single thing he says out of his mouth is so melodramatic and just said in this very low tone. And I don't have anything against Ving Rhames. I like him in UFC pre-fight hype videos. But
that's Ron Perlman.
No, Ving Rhames doesn't do.
I don't think he does them anymore.
Oh,
as of lately, I think it's Ron Perlman that does all those.
Pulp Fiction is my.
Well, yeah, I mean that's obviously his best.
I love him in the Arby commercials. You're doing great.
But no, I just think that in this movie, everything he says is just like, Ethan, there's a bomb that's going to go off in 20 seconds. If you don't seem, or if you don't give us the answer to the riddle right now, tell me what the riddle is. We don't have time. 10 seconds. Tell me it anyway.
He was definitely fitting a very typecast, a certain mold of a character, of the wiser, older, spy, still passing on his smart remarks to Tom, but about him not killing Gabriel. That whole little thing. The machine wants you to kill Gabriel. You have to let him live. I think that was like the whole crux of this whole movie was like kind of Tom forgiving the guy who murdered his wife. Which, okay, he's on one of the most like incredible. Spy network jobs in the world, and he just now found the murder of his wife 30 years later. It's like, you didn't use any of your resources to find this Gabriel guy before this. I mean, come on, dude. I would have definitely been every other mission being like, all right, I'm off to find Gabriel again with some Benicio del Toro shit from our last movie.
Yeah, there is
please some positivity. We need some.
Yeah, no, we're gonna bring him down over the course of this episode. No! We're gonna get him at the end. By the end of this, you're gonna hate this movie. The AI told me.
Can't be done.
The entity told me. It's already been written.
well, history's
Yeah.
going to change.
This movie was AI generated, right? That would make much more sense if it was.
That would actually have been a beautiful full circle moment. Is that it actually was an AI movie written about an AI by an AI.
All right, that's enough. All right, listen. So, what Mission Impossible movies are built on? Typically, they're 2 hours long. Mission Impossible 6 was 2.5 hours long, but you needed that extra half hour to really flesh out Henry Cavill's amazingness. So this movie, the other movies, it's set up. The team, they're given a mission. Should they choose to accept it, they then have devices that they use, and then halfway through the mission, something changes, something's off, something doesn't work. The person's not there; it's a different person. They have to improvise. They have to change things, and so they have this heightened mission where they have to change their behavior to accomplish their mission, and it makes for an exciting scene that ends in a stunt or a set piece moment. And that's kind of a series of those scenes take place throughout the movie, and boom, we have our Mission Impossible movie. That's the whole franchise is built on that. This movie is going back to that scene where there's all of the heads of state in the room, where they're all saying one line of dialogue and one line of this guy, and it does this and this and this, and it's just, to me, I was just like, this is unnecessary. You don't need this. It's much better when you have one person that works for the CIA that tells Ethan Hunt, all right, we need this, you guys to do this. And then Ethan tells his team, all right, here's how we're going to do it. It works much better like that. And again, it's because Tom wanted to include all these people and pay their mortgages and rent, which I understand, Tom. But at the same time, it wasn't for the best of the story. So it carries into the Sandstorm. We get this cool action Call of Duty-like scene where Tom is meeting up with Rebecca Ferguson because Kittredge, we learned later, sets her up to get assassinated because she has one of the parts of the key, one of the two parts of the key. And Tom goes there, and there's a fake out death where you think Rebecca Ferguson dies, but doesn't, so that she can disappear for a portion of the movie while Tom meets up with Kittredge and starts the chase for the second half of the key. Remy, you did like the sequence of the Sandstorm, and there is the Sandstorm sequence from Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol. There was where he's running away from it. Yeah. This is kind of is a callback to that, but I thought it was different enough where that was more of a chase in a Sandstorm. This is more of an action shoot 'em out in a Sandstorm.
Right. Those are both that happen in Dubai, don't they?
I was going to say Abu Dhabi. Yeah. I think you're right. They're both things.
So
the famous building, and then the famous
Burj
Khalifa. Burj Khalifa. Yeah.
That is my favorite part of this movie. My favorite part of this movie is that Sandstorm scene because I think it looks cool. I love that there's no music. It's just the sound of the sandstorm and gunfire. I love the use of sights. They have like the actual like POV, like you're zoomed in. And yeah, it does feel very much like a Call of Duty. It like Rust. I felt like I was playing Rust.
Oh yeah.
I really like that. I think it was super cool, really well done. I didn't really care for the fake out death because it was very obviously a fake out death because it's just like she just kind of plops there. You don't see her face. And then it quickly cuts away and he's like sad for a second. And it's just kind of is like one of those things. I was like, all right, she's obviously not dead. So other than that, I really enjoyed that scene. Thought it looked cool. Sounded great. Great execution. I wish more of the scenes in the movie were like that scene.
I mean, set pieces. This movie is definitely these set pieces, these very just desert, Venice, mountains, it checks all these boxes for very different types. So yeah, it did that very well, where it was, you feel like you're in the desert, corny but cool, his horse laying down and him laying down with the horse while the other guys go, and then he pops up and follows him behind. It's like there's so many. Please go ahead. I know the audience to know that out of my mouth, I knew it was gonna invoke something.
I want the audience to know that prior to us recording this, Jason was just fawning over the 10 new episodes of Bluey that came out, and so this man has just called upon the integrity of Tom Cruise's authenticity in this movie with his horse. I just want the audience to realize whom is speaking here and what he has to say.
I will go to a shirts off brawl with anyone who talks shit about Bluey. That's it. We're almost there. Oh, the ties are coming off.
Ties off. No more of this nonsense. You want to go, bro? Huh?
Where is it?
All right. Come on, bro. Come on, Bluey man.
Bluey versus Mission Impossible. Yeah, yeah.
Come on, Bluey man.
Wait, what was the MTV show? The
Death.
claymation one, where it would be to celebrity deathmatch. Yes, that's what we'll get to with this. So, yes, you're right. I will praise Bluey, but then in the same breath, I will talk shit about Mission Impossible. Yes, that's the type of man I am. But no. Back to the positiveness I was trying to bring to this movie is the classic.
You were not trying to bring.
I was trying. I really.
Stop lying to our audience.
I mean, the classic set piece of the desert thing. Check. I mean, it was nice and fun and had the Call of Duty feel, but still, I felt like it was, now that you put the pandemic title on it, where it's the classic where I'm in a room and random guy comes in the door, shoot him. Random guy comes in that door, shoot him. Random guy from a top, shoot him. It was that just over and over again. So I mean, that's fun, I guess, to watch. You know,
just a hater. I mean, if you just want to hate, you can just hate all you want. But you're going overboard. You're going overboard with your hate. It makes no sense. You like Guardians of the Galaxy. What are we talking about here?
Past recommendations or past ratings on things should not apply to this.
No, Jason. All of your likes is what I hold against you anytime you disagree with me.
No, we go into every new episode with a clean slate,
clean slate. You will not get the secret microchip of the clean slate that Catwoman got in Dark Knight Rises. You will not get that.
Wow, that's a reference right there. I like that there.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious that this guy is hate shaming you, Jason, of all people. You hate on one movie after loving everything. This guy hates on Across the Spider-Verse, a universally loved, really well-received movie, and he's just like, oh, I just hate this movie. Hate it. I hated my life.
You hated that movie.
I didn't say I hated it.
You didn't like it.
I didn't say I liked parts of it, and I didn't hate it.
You didn't give it a good rate.
I gave it like a 6.
Hate is definitely a strong word that we're throwing around right now, and I don't think any of us have hated anything. But I definitely did not hate this movie, but I knew what I was getting into with this.
When you spend 90% of talking about a movie about all the things you don't like, I tend to think it's not a good thing.
I mean, no, going through the movie, I mean, I had a great experience. You know, it is just one of those classic, you know, action movies. You know, it's like we'll leave it at the, I mean, it's a low kind of benchmark. I mean,
what is with the digs?
It's just this kind of just very, and it's not bad. I mean, it's like I said, predictable. You know what's going to kind of happen, and you're okay with it, and you're along for the ride.
It's a Mission Impossible movie. It's like making fun of James Bond. Oh, he's going to bang a chick in this movie and then kill a bad guy after he gets a monologue in his face for 5 minutes. Like, what? Why? It's a Mission Impossible movie. Are we blaming Marvel movies for having superheroes that fly? What?
Yeah.
Why?
No, you're so right. So that's the crux of, I think, this whole argument right now, is where you have a very predictable, formulaic kind of movie, and what's wrong with that? Where you go into it where you know what you're going to expect, and I know what's going to kind of happen and things like that. That has some positives to it, but we go into something like Sicario, our last movie, where I had no idea what I was getting into and how it was going to finish and things. So it's two totally different experiences where, and even me, had a long day of work or had a lot of something else going on. I don't want a movie that I want to think a lot about. I want to just have this big action movie, a Fast and Furious style experience.
Thank you for saying it. It needed to be said. It needed to be
said.
It is exactly a Fast and Furious movie. Everything is laid out for you. Yeah. The plot is basically silly. And the way the characters have to explain everything to you in a melodramatic, I'm going to talk real serious about what's happening here. And there's a big, bad, ugly monster we got to take care of. Are you ready to take care of it, team? Come on, man. Am I talking about Fast and Furious or am I talking about Mission Impossible? You wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't know, because the difference is that Fast and Furious, every movie got more absurd to the point where they go to fucking space. Like, it gets so incredibly absurd, and then everything's about family and this terrible acting.
Remy, look in your face.
The movie's also about family. Simon Pegg is literally saying
it's Simon Pegg's little part of the movie is him saying, like, you guys are my family. It's not saying it from the first scene to the last scene.
She's got to join their family. The girl's got to join their family.
Yeah, she's got to join the team.
Yeah, which apparently is super easy to do.
No, It is. She. Okay, first of all, so let me bring it back. You guys have been hating on this movie, so I need to at least say all the nice things about this movie. So I'm never seeing a movie with you, either of you, ever again, because this is just the worst experience of trying to relive a fun movie with a couple of fucking idiots. Anyway, Haley Atwell is really good in this movie. She is, and Rebecca Ferguson, God bless her soul, I think she's fine, but she has one face. Rebecca Ferguson has one face. She does not. You could do the whole angry, mischievous, sad, happy like thing that they like psychiatrists show you, and they're like, "Which one are you?" And she just has the same face and everything. She does not emote. So I feel like Rebecca Ferguson was fine in the Mission Impossible movie she's in, but just kind of just there. Haley Atwell has the full breadth of an emotion that she can give at any moment. She can be charming, she can be sexy, she can be fierce, she can be funny. She has all of those things, and her and Tom Cruise have a great chemistry in the movie. So her replacing Rebecca Ferguson, I think, is a great choice because we needed a fresh face there. And then, of course, you have the stalwarts that are Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames. But her being the pickpocket and Tom Cruise going through the airport and the sequence of them having to change other people's faces to Tom Cruise and what's his face? The guy from the bad cop in every movie. Don't say it. It's Sean Wiggum.
Shay
Wiggum. Yeah.
Love Shea Wiggum. That dude's face. You just see his face. You're just like, this dude's in a bad mood. Every movie he's in a bad mood. But him grabbing people's like a dude's face like underneath, like I've always wanted to do that in Mission Impossible movie. He did it. Where it's like he reaches under his skin trying to pull his face off. I've always wanted that to happen.
Yeah, that was funny. That was
really funny. Even though, I mean, it has to be said that Shea Wiggum and Greg Tarzan Davis, the black dude cop with him, his middle name allegedly is
Tarzan. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome.
Plays Degas. The most useless, pointless, dumb idiot characters of the movie. Literally just running around and just foiled at every corner. Like, oh, get him next time. And then just like, as soon as Tom thinks he's out, oh no, there they are again to not catch me around this corner and the next one and the next one. Like literally just totally pointless. Everywhere they go, they have like a random conversation about whose side are you on, in the train, but totally useless.
But then when they actually get close to catching him, they end up helping him.
Yeah, they let him go after all of that.
You live long enough.
Yeah, I could have got you, but you know what? I saw the goodness in you at the very last moment, so I'm going to actually help you out of this situation.
I took his gun and gave it right back. That's not a sign of trust. I mean, what are we doing here?
Man, give me my gun back. I guess I got to trust
the train was out of control. It was going to crash. They needed Tom's help. Anyway,
it was Simon Pegg and Vince or Vin.
Ving! His name is Ving.
Yeah, I wanted to be Vince really bad, but they were refreshing, and I know a lot of the other characters. It was checking the boxes, especially when Haley Atwell came in. You're like, okay, you're going to be the new Bond girl kind of thing. So, but I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I absolutely love Simon Pegg and everything is like I can't find too much faults with him and. I think I would have by now because he has his fingers in every single major franchise. Like he is in Star Trek, Star Wars, Mission Impossible. I mean, he's got to be some Lord of the Rings orc probably in some background thing. Like he definitely is up there now with everything and his humble beginnings of the
Boys. He's in The Boys.
Oh yeah, the Boys too. I mean, the dad. Yeah, I mean, just he has his fingers in everything. Whoever his agent is fucking awesome. So when he gets on the screen, it was just like those two characters that him and Ving were so of this like fatherly, kind of the old school way of Mission Impossible. And so it was so cool to see so many old actors and new ones kind of come in. And they feel like they flowed in very well together in chemistry. So I'll give it that positive note right there.
The character that actually I liked her for the most part. Palm, I can never realize.
I never remember her last name.
Clementieff, I think is how you say Palm.
Mantis from Guardians.
Yeah, It's kind of weird seeing her face without the
That's what
antennae.
it was. Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird without the extra like makeup and
Yes,
antennae and stuff. It kind of like but I like that she has this kind of like weird punker style to her. She like wears like a green plaid skirt and has like
the white face makeup just kind of like right there.
the white
Mime.
mime makeup. I like good addition, just like clearly there to not say a whole lot of lines.
She was the muscle.
She's like the muscle. The just she does that one of those things that I don't like where they just scream. Like you'll like to sound, and I think they mostly do with female characters where they'll have them just and they just like scream unnecessarily like at various fighting points.
We didn't give you a lot of lines, so I need you to scream whenever you
totally. So other than those little things, I think she fulfilled a good part. It's just one of those like nice little additions to the cast. Still way too many fucking people in this movie. Carrie Elwes is the worst part of this movie. 100% the worst part of this movie. And I hate saying that. It pains me to say that about Wesley. I love Wesley. You love Wesley. We all love Wesley.
Oh, yeah.
But the worst part, his American accent blows balls. He can't do an American accent to save his life. And every line he delivers is in the exact same tone. Yep. He's just like, and then what will happen? And then what does that do? Who is that? IMF? I don't know. Just every single fucking line, dude. Oh my God. I was excited when I saw his face. And then very quickly, I was like, please get this man off my screen.
Nailed it on the head. I was excited to see Wesley again too, and I was like, "Oh no, you got annoying real quick." Yeah,
he does the American accent that bothers me so much because I'm going to start calling it American face. This is when people put on like British dudes put on this American face, and they basically try to speak through their nose in this monotone like I'm in charge of the CIA and I mean business. And when I talk business, I mean we got to take down the IMF. They talk in this really weird artificial way that they think because they just think Americans sound super nasally, and he talks in just this ridiculous. It was Dr. Evil like it's like where he's trying to sound so maniacal. I mean, it happens later, but the line of lines is when he literally refers to. And keep in mind when you're a villain, right? You don't say like, I'm a part of Evil Incorporated. Yet, this movie literally says, I'm like a part of the military industrial complex. Like, bro, he was 1 second away from saying, I can't wait to bring this to a new world order. Like, it just got so ridiculous.
Remy,
I was just like,
Remy,
on, man.
It's working, Remy. We're getting to talk shit.
No, listen. I started this whole thing saying that I had like issues with this movie, but it's fun to like laugh at the things that are ridiculous in this movie. But the enjoyable parts of the movie we're not talking about, and I don't appreciate it. You guys really.
Please remind me of the enjoyable
parts.
parts.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So. The first 45 minutes of the movie is a bit slow. I admit that. A bit slow, too much exposition, too many characters. It does like, all right, let's get going. Then we have the car chase scene where they're going from car to car, and it's a lot of practical driving.
Or yellow Fiat going around
Venice. Fiat, it's exciting. You know, they're having to figure out who's driving, who's not driving. That's a fun scene. Yes, It does run a little long, but it is a fun scene. And then we go from that set piece into Tom Cruise having to figure out, what's the next part?
They go from Italy.
To line.
Okay, they go. Well, they're in Italy actually, because then they like. If you fast forward, they're in Venice at the party, but in between Venice and the party, they regroup.
Yes,
the party. So then there's the meeting of all of the people. So that's so they have the meeting of the White Widow and Gabriel, who's on behalf of the entity, and the Mission Impossible strike team. They are all there because White Widow has the other half of the key and she is there to decide who she's going to sell it to. And they then have this discussion of the entity is there at the club. It's literally the big drug trip ball that everyone's fucking dropping ecstasy and freaking out to. Is also the entity that is watching you, Jason.
And
it is
talking with everyone. The entity is just there, you know.
Fuck yeah. And so then there is the clash of who are you selling it to, and White Widow pussies out and wants to sell it to Gabriel. So then there's a fisticuffs, knives get pulled, swords get pulled, everyone starts fighting, which leads us to an action sequence I really liked, which is Rebecca Ferguson and Haley Atwell at separate times fighting Gabriel with knives and fists on the bridge, as they cut that in between Tom Cruise fighting Palm and another guy in a claustrophobic alley, and he's having to fight one of them on one end, one on the other end, and then we get this beautiful wide shot of the bridge of the two chicks fighting Gabriel, which is really a nice fight scene and really impressive, because again, most of the time in movies, outside of John Wick movies, you just get a arm here, a leg here. You never see anything. But these actresses and actor gave like a full body experience of a fight, which I really liked.
I do like most of those fight scenes. There were some things, and I will attribute. I don't know. It just things that I look for, and it almost reminded me of like a 19. Choreography in fight scenes is always something that really interests me, especially when it's done well, and it's very noticeable when it's done well versus when it's done poorly. And for the most part, this movie does it pretty well, but there's some really obvious scenes that are sped up, where they like throw somebody or they do a kick, and it's super obvious that they did the actual move, but then they speed it up and it looks weird. And they had that happen multiple times during the fight scene on the bridge, and it kind of just was just like, it happened a couple times where I noticed, and I was like, oh, like that looks bad. Otherwise, I did like I was gonna say, I feel like it was a little bit redundant. Him fighting the one girl with a sword and then him fighting another girl with a sword. Why does nobody have a fucking gun? That's what really pisses me off. Is I'm like, just everybody has knives. They got knives and swords, and nobody has a gun. I know it'd be crazy if these international spy killers had guns. What a world! Somebody should have had a fucking gun, and
it's not America. It's Europe. They're civilized over there.
They were shooting each other earlier.
They were shooting each other in Dubai. But
at the club, people have guns, do they not?
At the club, they have security. They had to pat them down. Apparently, they don't look for knives. So it's a little small, Anyway, Gabriel is known, they say early on, is that Gabriel is sadistic and Gabriel wants to make people suffer. So it makes sense why Gabriel would want to fight people the old-fashioned way. Just like how bring it all back to Princess Bride, how the Spaniard did not want to just kill and just be done with Wesley. He wanted the sport of it. So perhaps it was a sporting choice. Now, why the chicks don't have guns? Maybe they just ran through TSA, and the TSA is very wily and crafty, and they make sure no one carries weapons into their country.
Sure, of course. There's no way these international spies with all the tech and to change their faces and stuff would have a gun nearby.
It might just be because of John Wick. John Wick might have made it where it's just like, you go to a John Wick movie, everything's gun, fight, like pistol this and it's gun. It's like, all right, what can we do that's not, people won't just be like, we're just doing John Wick.
Maybe they already took I literally thought about that during the nightclub scene. I was like, this is John Wick.
Well, it's also in John Wick. It is in John Wick, but it's also in the last Mission Impossible 6. There's also a nightclub scene in there. It's kind of the thing you do now. You have a fight in a nightclub. What do you go to a nightclub for?
And what John Wick did too, it told a story while fighting. You know, like most of that movie, there's not like a whole lot of scenes that are just standing around talking. You know, you're progressing the storyline through a fight. And so many of the scenes actually in Mission Impossible and like with John Wick, they look like real fights. They don't look like this choreographed, very, Crouching Tiger or Kung Fu movie kind of feel where it has like two people just really like, okay, we're going to be in this room. We're going to do this choreographed fight. Something in this very small alleyway, or very visceral, real, dirty, dirty, kind of gritty kind of fight scene where you're kind of grabbing at each other or just using whatever you can around you makes it just much more of an intense fight scene rather than the very, like choreographed one, like I mentioned earlier. So this movie did a very good job of that, and with a very cool set piece. I mean, Venice and the streets, the cobblestone, the small kind of buildings. You know, when the AI is tricking Tom into going left, going right, going left, going right. You know, like tricking him going in there. It did feel like you were right there with it. So one of the few points in the movie where I really did feel very immersed in where the character was at that point. And then another thing I noticed in this scene, as much in the whole movie, is just drone footage, where you can just see a lot more of that panning of a drone going around like a fight scene and things, which, I mean, I'm all about that. I think this should be something we use so much more in movies, where it is this very just non-linear, very versatile kind of camera movement. So it did a very good job with that. So, I mean, once again, I mean, predictable when he was like, one of you is going to die. I'm like, oh yeah, that chick's definitely going to die, and that chick's definitely going to live. You know, it's like, it's going to progress the storyline, you know, forward. So I wasn't too surprised on how that fight scene was going to end up and how it was going to finish. But no, it was a great, another one of those set pieces where it's like, okay, we checked the mark of the English or European city fight scene kind of thing.
Rebecca Ferguson dies there. And they move on with Haley Atwell, and they bring her into the fold, and now she is going to be a part of the group as they stage this great train sequence where her and Tom are supposed to go on the train. They do reuse a Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol ism, which was the face mask making machine breaks, so they have to improvise. So she can go on looking like the White Widow, but Tom has to figure out a different way to get on the train. And I was just like, the machine broke in the fourth one. Like, you didn't need it. You could have just been like, I don't know. You could have just said that we only have enough material to make one mask, but just doing the same break thing, that did bother me. Just as a Mission Impossible guy, I will say, because I'm going to keep this positive, you laughed because I don't think you understood what was happening, because I know Mission Impossible. And as when Tom at the airport does the, he has got the key and then he flips it up to the other hand, and he's like, flips it to the other hand.
Oh, I mean, it's just funny because it's like a magic trick.
Because in the first movie, there's a great sequence where there's a CD, and the guy that's not supposed to have the CD, he's like, oh yeah, I've got the CD, and Tom's like, oh, you do?
What's the matter? You've never seen this trick?
And it's really funny. The guy takes the CD, throws it in the trash, and then Tom goes over, grabs it from the trash, and that's the real CD. Great sequence. So this was a throwback to Mission Impossible 1 where Tom does magic.
He's learning.
Old dog does that.
Yeah, wise beyond his years. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know what else to say about that.
Well, just you can talk about the train, the going on
yes,
the train
shenanigans. Very, again, drawn the fuck out, dude. A scene like it's just yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, he's gonna get on the train with a mask. Oh no, can't do that. Oh, he's gonna get on the train with a bike. Oh no, can't do that. Missed a turn. You just missed the turn. So the only other way we can get it is if you go all the way up the mountain, so I can do the stunt.
It's a runaway train. It's going fast. You got to improvise. You got to change your plan
twice.
Yes, that's what happens on a plane, on a train.
No, they changed it twice before they even get on the fucking train.
Yeah, they keep changing it. They have to keep.
It's just annoying. Just literally, again, so many fucking parts of this movie where it's just like, this could have been wrapped up. He could have gotten on the train right away. Boom, sick. 20 minutes of my fucking life I didn't have to spend watching him drive up a mountain. Literally driving up a mountain. And then he's going to still, Simon Pegg's like, hey, keep going. Drive up the mountain. Drive up the mountain.
So just being on the train, and they do the fake exchange with Kittredge, and just that would have been more interesting than Tom jumping off of a cliff.
Contrived. It's so contrived. And it's just, you couldn't find a good reason. Like, of all the ways they could have written him jumping off the cliff, it would have been just cooler if he had just planned that from the beginning. And that was his fucking plan. His
original plan would be, I'm going to jump. That's what's cool about the movie, is that it acknowledges like the ridiculousness. And it's not just the movie, and this is where you guys need to give Tom some credit. The movie is not Tom being like, I'm going to here's our plan. That's actually, they make jokes in this movie that Tom has these plans where he's like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get on the train this way, and then immediately Haley Atwell's like, wait, you're gonna do what? That's a stupid plan. Like, they make fun of the fact that Tom has these ideas on how to get on the train, and so when Benji's like, oh, I sent you up the cliff because he's like, what? That's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, because it is ridiculous. If Tom was just trying to make himself look like super macho and like, I'm gonna make you do this crazy plan. The plan, because it's so crazy, needs to be improvised, because if it was planned, it would just look so insane that like Tom is just trying to make himself look cool, but he's only doing it because it's the only plan he's got.
I think you hit the nail on the head with Tom just trying to make himself look cool. Right there.
No, did you not hear anything I said?
That's this
This whole movie
is based off that. Yes.
This whole movie is hyped on the fact that he made this one fucking jump.
Yes.
This one jump. And it was such a big deal. And you get all the close-up shots of his face to let you know it's real.
Yes. I don't understand.
The whole movie.
What's the problem?
Tom is just...
What's the problem? What's the problem?
This movie is the Tom show.
Yes.
And every movie that Tom is in is the Tom show.
I like
because
this.
He's an egomaniac and he's all about making himself look cool.
No, it's for us.
Why doesn't
nobody can do it? It's like, what? Who would lead our army except Patton? Find someone else. We don't have anyone. We just got Patton. We have Tom. Why are you guys looking for another Tom? It's like Tom Brady. Oh, just find another Tom Brady. You can't. There's only one Tom.
You guys are both like 100% absolutely right on what this movie actually is. You know, it's really funny, and it's not a bad or it's not a good thing. It's just like it's attracting that audience where we want to see Tom do that next thing. And it's unfortunate that it took 2 hours plus, you know, of padding to do this just one scene, because you can really feel like this movie was this one scene. The Oriental Express, like I want to go on the Oriental Express now after watching this movie. Like there's like how much this train and this scene and the countryside and the stunt leading up to it, you can feel like this whole movie was based on this. Like they probably even thought about this. This is like this crux of this movie is this part, and we're going to do all these other scenes based on it. Because while we're talking, I actually put on some like preview of the movie, and it has constantly re-rolled Tom doing the scene, the behind the scenes of him actually doing this stunt. So we've been recording this for almost an hour now, and it's been almost an hour of just them filming him doing the stunt. So it's like how much of that is part of it, and is that such a bad thing? Is that such a, you know, like the Abu Dhabi scene on the side of the building in, help me out with some names here. It was the glass, him going up the side of the wall on that was such a big part of that last Mission Impossible movie, is they were selling it like he was on the glass wall of that doing himself. So that's what this is all about. And was it cool? Yeah. Was it the anchor to get us all to watch this movie? Absolutely not. And were they trying to promote this as this is the scene that you all should be coming to watch this? Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like him riding a motorcycle off a cliff and doing it into a parachute. To go see this movie, to see Tom Cruise do this, is what that scene was all about. And I mean, for the Mavericks out there, you definitely check that box. And for all of us, we're like, okay, I guess we're along for the ride on this one. We'll watch Tom do another one of those. So, I mean, was it cool? Yeah. Was it necessary? Absolutely not. Was it the reason I came to see this movie? Absolutely not either. But was it the icing on the cake? Yeah, sure enough. But it was a Tom Cruise doing it.
I hope you guys really appreciate all those green screen, just safe, just completely sterile movies that we're getting these days. Just these PG-13 superhero movies where they don't try to do anything interesting. There is no excitement. There is no passion. They don't spend years trying to think of how they're going to make this incredible movie anymore. They're just shitting out nonsense. And you guys, this is what you want. You're criticizing a movie like this that took years to make. Just set pieces that take years of practice and discipline and training. And you guys don't appreciate it.
No, you're absolutely right. And I should have cushioned my statement with that, because I actually did walk out of the theater thinking that too. It was quite refreshing. I'll definitely say the refreshing thing of not seeing a bunch of green screens, seeing this being a lot of these set pieces where I did feel like they were out there. So you're absolutely right. And I think that actually does outweigh a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, where we need to put that into factor. But if I'm going into movie just wanting to watch a story, watch a actual, like, tell me a great story that I can sit on this couch and watch this progression, this didn't hit those marks. But if there are all these other things where it's like these movies and stunts and the times and what we still want out of action movies, yeah, this is bringing that to the plate. But it's got to bring all the other things to the plate as well, you know?
I'm not hating on the stunt. I do, again.
You definitely have said nothing about the stunt other than hate.
No.
That is a fact.
It's just, but by the time we get to that stunt, it takes so long. What I like about it, most of his other big stunts, because there's always one big stunt in these movies. So he has the hanging on the airplane in 5, right?
Yeah.
6. He has the hanging on the airplane. He has the scaling of the wall. In the last one, it's, which one is it in the last one?
What? It was hanging on the plane.
Last one's 6. Wait, what were you talking about?
The last movie with Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, that's 6.
That was hanging on the plane.
He's
hanging
on the helicopter.
Yeah.
Plane and helicopter.
No, the
plane.
Yeah,
There's a helicopter.
Okay.
plane taking off, and he's strapped to the
Right.
door.
Okay.
5, he starts, I believe, in when he's locked up with his giant with his abs, and he does the shimmy shimmy cocoa puff shimmy.
It's the Wiz Khalifa or whatever, that big Wiz Khalifa, the building.
Yes. Anyway, so they all are anchored, and whereas this one I think is the only one of those that really is where it's like the very end. So it just feels like you're waiting for the payoff of that scene, because again, that is the crux of this movie, is that scene, and it takes so long to get there that it's just like I'm kind of belaboring the fact that I have to get to it. Whereas if it was more in the middle, where before I was less burnt out, I think I would have enjoyed it more. I do appreciate that Tom does commit to his stunts. I really do. He is. I wish others would have the cojones to do it.
Why? Just so that they can do it, spend years of their life training for a movie to make an amazing scene, just so you can shit on it because I don't like it so much.
Hey, dude, and 2 hours and 45 minutes. Did we mention this movie's 2 hours and 45 minutes? So long.
It is.
I could have easily cut this movie to 2 hours. Easily. Take out between the 2.5 major exposition dumps at the beginning and at the nightclub. That's 20 minutes right there. And then the different conversations that they have throughout could have been cut out. You could the whole disarming of a bomb that's not even a bomb.
And is part 1. Like, this is part 1. Like,
right.
They couldn't finish a whole ending of this, because that's what this feels like. They are going to put the stamp on the Mission Impossible. This might be Tom Cruise's last movie. I do feel like they're doing that. They're giving it enough time, but holy shit. I mean, Spider-Verse kind of feelings where it's like you couldn't really tell this whole story in one movie right now. You know, it's like that it was ridiculously long and kind
that is, yeah, you are right. The part 1 ism, which it does seem like it might turn into a trend. Spider-Verse did it, and now this movie is doing it.
Fast and the Furious did it.
I don't acknowledge those movies. I
won't.
It does seem like a trend of sorts, and so this movie, I'd like to think, because this movie was so much exposition and so much setup, I would like to think that the next movie, it just completely goes into like just bang, bang, boom, just like the other movies, where it is more so just about the action sequences that translate from one to the other. And it's not going to just be explaining everything. I'd like to think that's part of the whole part 1, part 2 thing.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. So I'm leaving a movie knowing exactly how it should end. So they just got to get to the submarine. You're going to spend an entire movie getting to a submarine. So I already know what the second movie is going to be about. So that Tom Cruise at the very end of this is going to go, tink, I put in the key and I'm going to crush whatever that is in my hand. So
you are the heart of the machine.
Yeah, exactly. Do one of those. So I have to now sit for probably another 2.5 hour movie. I will put money on it right now that's going to be a 2 hour plus ending movie to get to that. So it's like, I already know how this is going to end, and you're going to have to make me sit through another one.
Or could there be a little switcheroo? Maybe all of a sudden it's like, spoiler alert for Captain America Civil War, maybe it's like when Tom gets there and then all of a sudden the machine's already dead and oh no, it's Gabriel, or oh, Kittredge now already has it and now he's controlling it. Now you have to, maybe we get a little switcherooism.
Okay, yeah, a ray of
I
hope.
mean, if they started the next movie with them going down to the
Right.
submarine, that would be the movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
It should be like
if it
Thanos.
starts with where we know it's going to end, then that will be just a much more exciting movie. So it's that right there. It's like the predictability of this franchise. It's like hopefully it just switches it on us, so we do get excitement for this next one, which is how long away? I mean, a year or
everyone's saying, oh, it's next year, it's supposed to come out, but it's like it's not like set in stone, like go see this movie this date. So I'm hoping Tom is trying to make his space movie where he literally is going to go to space to make a movie. Oh, you don't know this, Jason?
just him. I'm going to go to space and do a movie. Watch me.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what the problem is here. So I'm hoping that he can wrap this movie up and be done with it and get onto a space movie. But in case there's a problem, maybe there'll be a delay of sorts, but hopefully not.
He might be hit by asteroid.
I feel bad for that asteroid. That asteroid has no idea who he's messed with. So yeah, the movie does wrap up, and
Are we about ready for final thoughts on this?
about ready for final. About right, ready for final thoughts. I'm ready to get away from you two fucking haters. So the movie does. I did wish that since the movie's a part one and there's a part two, I did wish that the movie committed more to an Infinity War Empire, like Ving Rhames or Simon Pegg gets killed, and it's like then it's like, oh Jesus, like it's on. But, they kill Rebecca Ferguson halfway through the movie, and it was like, well, she got added in the fifth movie. So it was like, man, she's a part of the ride, but she's not, like, in. So I wish the movie had more balls to, like, do something like that. So it's like this next movie, it feels like this is like an end game type of who knows who's going to get out of this alive. So it didn't really do that. It did kind of feel safe in its ending of part one, but still an enjoyable movie. The set pieces are great. I appreciate all of the effort that went into these. It is a pandemic movie, so the next movie I do expect to be a little freer in its approach. And I do appreciate that everyone was able to send their kids to college and pay their medical bills and pay for Timmy's cancer fund. I really appreciated that Tom was able to do that for everyone. So I will say on the rating system, I will give this movie a 7 out of 10. I think there's 3 tiers of Mission Impossible movies. I think the top tier, which is great to excellent, is Mission Impossible 1, 4, 5, and 6. All great movies. That's, to me, watch those movies. They're all excellent, greatly paced, greatly timed. The next tier is good, which is Mission Impossible 3 and this one, Mission Impossible 7. They are good movies. And then Mission Impossible 2 is the one that's like, man, I've only seen that movie once, and the first half I remember being good, but the second half is just so insanely outrageous. It's just makes you forget the whole movie. So that's kind of how the tiers of Mission Impossible that I would give. Jason, how would you rate this movie?
I'm still reeling from your 7 out of 10 rating. I did not expect you to be so reasonable with your.
I went into this whole thing being reasonable. You two jabronis came into this thing with your hate burgers.
No, I agree. It's definitely a 7. It's something where I enjoyed it. I mean, and I went to see this at the 10:45 in the night's release, and so I got out, almost 2 a.m. And I mean, I wasn't falling asleep. I was enjoying it. It's a great action movie and all this sort of stuff. So if you go in with the extremely low expectations, you'll be extremely satisfied. It'll be just one of those great just action movies. But as far as in the Mission Impossible franchise, as far as movies, I will rate it pretty kind of low on that. But it's another thing I didn't touch, actually. You don't have to watch any other Mission Impossible movies to enjoy this one. And I do enjoy that. It being number 72 in the franchise of movies or whatever, 72.5. I'm sorry. This is the half of a full movie. So that you didn't have to see everything else to really enjoy this. So that's one of the pluses of this. And so, as much shit as I talked about, it was definitely a good 7. Like a 7 out of 10. I'll put that stamp on it.
Very, very generous. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5.
Oh, out of 5.
3 out of 5, not a 3 out of 10. That would have been
Which,
cool.
according to the Rotten Tomatoes, would be a recommendation.
3 out of 5.
Yeah, no, that's so stupid. Rotten Tomatoes is.
Jesus.
I know.
I just, the more I think, when I got, I was chuckling to myself throughout this movie.
It was very annoying.
It was just hilarious. All of the overly serious tones, and the AI is going to do this, but then the AI knows you're going to do that, and then we're going to do it, but not because the AI wants us to, but maybe because we want to. But if the AI knows, the whole movie is
that was one scene. That was one
No,
scene.
it's not.
That's one scene in the middle of the movie, and you acted like that was every scene.
They kept on talking.
It was the tone. It was the tone.
Yeah. And that tone, that exact
the tone was hilarious. That should have been a time where they could have joked about it. That could have been done better.
Everything felt like it was too long. Everything felt like it was too long. And every time I started to enjoy a scene, that I'd get to my peak enjoyment of a scene, and then it would be 10 minutes longer than I wanted it to. So I just kind of felt tired at the end of the 2 hours and 43 minutes that was this movie. I guess I'll be another Tom Schmuck that will be there to see the final movie. But yeah, as I say, the chances are that we will go in and we're going to already know exactly everything that's going to happen. The one thing that I really was hoping that was going to happen at the end of this movie was Gabriel dying, because he was the one thing you can't do is kill Gabriel. And I was okay, so maybe if they kill Gabriel, then that's a good way to end the movie, so that I don't know what the fuck is going to happen in the next one. But he doesn't. He gets the key, and Gabriel gets foiled, and everything's fine. Really disappointed, just because I really, really loved the last Mission Impossible movie, and I thought it was a great movie. That's what I went into this movie expecting, and I didn't get that. So,
Gabriel does have a con moment, where in Star Trek when Kirk. He does have a movie, which it would have been just. But to me, he was just like, Tom! Just angry that Tom got the better of him because he got the key.
When he pulls out the lighter out of his pocket, that moment right there, instead of the key at the very end.
Yeah.
Tom! Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
There is, I forgot to mention, but there is the train. They did crash a train in real life. That is the train. They did crash that. And it was a one-shot opportunity, which it is one of those things that it's tough, because so much of what we watch is green screen and CGI. It's so hard to tell when something's done for real. So apparently they did crash, not all of that train crashing sequence. Some of it was CG, but generally that sequence, that was very. People like to say that sequence of Tom and Haley Atwell climbing out of the train, trying to get to the next train, was very Uncharted-like, which it was. Yes. But I want to give props to the not very good but decent Jurassic Part 2, Jurassic Lost World. That had the first kind of train dangling over the edge sequence, which is also similar to, but still a fun sequence, and teamwork to get out of that sequence, to get out of that situation.
I don't want to trash it anymore or praise it anymore. It's exactly as it should be.
And that's last page.